Welcome to the VMware vForum Online. We have designed this event to keep you current on VMware technology and allow you to connect with VMware experts and peers in the IT industry. The theme for this event is digital transformation. As the entire world is shifting to a digital economy, IT has to lead this transformation and ultimately enable businesses to reinvent how we work and live. In just a few moments, we'll kick off this event with a keynote from VMware CEO, Pat Gelsinger. Pat will talk about the big challenges facing IT organizations today, whether navigating a multi-cloud environment or containing security threats. He will then outline 5 CIO priorities that are essential to drive this digital transformation. After the keynote, we'll welcome VMware's CTO, Chris Wolf. Chris will share how leading companies like Nike, GM, and GE are using a software-defined approach to accelerate their digital transformation and aggressively compete in their respective industries. Then, I invite you to discover the latest VMware products by attending one or more of the following 6 tracks: cloud management, networking and security, software-defined storage, hybrid cloud, and end-user computing. And for those of you in the healthcare industry, there's a dedicated track with very rich content. Finally, I encourage you to spend time in the exhibit hall where you can chat with VMware experts, connect with peers, and test drive our latest products. I hope you will enjoy this event and look forward to hearing your feedback. With that, it is my pleasure to welcome VMware CEO, Pat Gelsinger.
Thanks, Riyadh. Great to be here, and thank everyone for joining us today at vForum Online Spring 2016. Please take the day to explore the different sessions, hands-on labs, and other interactive elements. That's what we have put together for you. And if you have any questions during my presentation, please enter them into the Q&A box below the slides. The role of IT is more critical than ever. And fundamentally, as businesses are looking to their digital transformation, the role that you play, the role that IT offers to the business is more critical than ever. But it's also more challenging. And as we think about that in the context of the questions that would be on your mind, clearly the CIO is dealing today with things like, how do I go faster? My team needs to pick up their pace. Also, new security threats, and are we protected? And what is my cloud strategy, and do I need to be running data centers long term? The VP of infrastructure, he's faced with these business units looking to do new application areas, and how do I do that plus my old apps? What do I do to enable all these new mobility experiences and mobile devices? And how do I manage across these multi-cloud environments of the future? And fundamentally, the businesses that you serve are being reshaped in a fundamental way. And as we think about healthcare and education with massive online education classes, or smart grids that are changing the distribution of energy, custom manufacturing that's upending the entire supply chain, mobile finance leading to a new model of how financial services are delivered. And every single industry is being reshaped by the shift to digital businesses today. So against that, what are the opportunities that we have to face it, and what are the priorities for the CIO? How do you enable the digital world of the future? First, we say is, how do you navigate this multi-cloud world? And if you think about the cloud environment, of course you have your on-premise and private cloud. We're going to keep making that better. But all the other options you have for managed cloud and public cloud, and a broader and broader set of SaaS offerings as well. All of these are creating more opportunities for service, an expansive set of IT services. But how can I embrace that without creating yet another set of silos, just like we almost got fixed over the last several years of creating a virtualized data center internally? And doing that without creating these new silos that might have new specific management tools or different models of security. How can I cut across all of those environments? How can I create a unified control plane for IT, unified in management, networking, and security across all the clouds? And that's exactly what VMware is out to enable you with, this control plane for IT that allows you to run, manage, secure, and deliver any application across these broader and broader set of cloud infrastructure. VMware has extended our cloud strategy, and of course the first part of that is making the private cloud great. And with that, continuing to automate, continuing to make it simplified, and making it more like the public cloud experiences that many of your customers are looking at and saying, that's the new benchmark. But then also extending that to saying, let's deliver that software-defined data center into and on top of infrastructure that you don't necessarily own and manage the hardware, extending the software-defined data center into the public cloud. And lastly, it's enabling this multi-cloud and multi-device strategy across any cloud environment. Connect, secure, run, manage applications. And we see unique and profound roles for products like NSX, vRealize, and AirWatch in this multi-cloud and multi-device era. And if you think about NSX, what a powerful, transformative technology to create virtual networking. And against that, we've extended NSX support, not just to on-premise, but to multiple clouds. We've announced Azure and Amazon. We'll have it across literally any cloud that you have. You'll be able to run NSX, and it becomes that connective layer. We're also connecting it up as a key enabler in Internet of Things and stretching it all the way to the devices and the per-app VPNs, and also combining it with next-generation application development environments. It truly becomes the networking and security layer that becomes standard across all devices and all clouds. Also with vRealize, we've extended this powerful tool for on-premise management of private clouds today, but saying we're going to do workload and operations manage across any environment into public clouds and for next-generation applications. Management across all of these devices, all of these infrastructures, so you don't have to have unique and proprietary tooling for each one. All of it from a common tool base that your IT staff is already deeply familiar with today. You might have some questions about vCloud Air, and we have made some changes in our strategy. And with it, what we've said is there's a set of use cases that VMware can just be the best in the world at delivering. Use cases like data center extension, being able to extend that private cloud experience with hybrid networking, DR as a service, workload and data center migration onto an external service. And those use cases are the ones that vCloud Air will focus on going forward. But our strategy is twofold. We will run those directly. We're your cloud provider for those services. But we will also enable the broadest set of cloud providers in the industry, managed clouds, public clouds, geographic clouds, specialized clouds, through our VMware vCloud Air network. All of those use cases and all of the intellectual property we generate, enabling a broad set of partners to enable and service those environments for a broader and broader set of customer use cases. A powerful strategy of vCloud Air and our vCloud Air network. So priority number one, can't we just get along? How can we enable all of these clouds and manage, secure, and network across multiple clouds for the future? Second, how do we really enable this private cloud that we've referred to? How do we just make it great? How do we go from the silos of infrastructure and this museum of IT past and enable the hyper-converged infrastructure of the future? And against that, we see that there's a fundamental transformation going on today where the traditional build-it-yourself environment of unique switching, routing, SAN, NAS environments is quickly moving to a hyper-converged infrastructure where literally you buy complete racks or complete appliances that have already been pre-configured, pre-installed, and move that point to management and integration back to the factory. This is the hyper-converged infrastructure of the future. Hyper-converged products like VxRail that we've just announced with EMC and virtual SAN, this underlying transformative software-defined storage infrastructure ready for prime time. We see strong momentum. We've checked all the boxes with the key features, and we have major customers who are now deploying these in high volume. A huge opportunity for simplicity, for speed and cost savings in your environment today with hyper-converged infrastructure. So second, transform the data center. And private cloud enables automation to simplify your environment. Third, the digital workspace opportunity. And if we think about this, if you look historically, back a decade or two, you see that, boy, this idea of mobile devices, and I remember my first flip phone that I had. I thought I was way cool. Today, the average is 3 devices per person. And today I can be working on my Mac, get interrupted by my iPad, get a call on my iPhone, and have my iWatch give me a notification. I mean, productivity has hit new levels. But if we think about the future, we're just getting started. Where more IoT, more integrated telemetry, more capabilities. And all of these devices need to be managed. They need to be connected. And they are fundamentally changing every dimension of our lives and our businesses as they all go digital. And against that world, we say that our strategy is to bring all of that together into what we call the digital workspace. Not that you have different tools for this device or this vendor or traditional PCs or new apps, but you bring it all together into one common platform, the digital workspace. And that platform needs to do 2 things. It needs to enable all of the things that enterprises need with robustness and security, but the user bar is now consumer simplicity. And that's what we're out to deliver with our digital workspace strategy. And we call that simply Workspace ONE. And it's the complete set of desktop, mobile application tools combined with identity management infrastructure integrated with the rest of the VMware suite of products and technologies that you're already running at scale to really bridge these worlds, what the users need with what IT can deliver, and bringing that all together with Workspace ONE. So priority number 3 is bring your own device. Well, no, brought your own device. Your users are already bringing these devices into your environment. How can you enable their productivity, their environment, their applications into the business environment that you need to provide? Simply put, the digital workspace, IT at the speed of life. Fourth, security. And no conversation about IT infrastructure or digital transformation is possible today without addressing the fundamental question of security. And we'll pose it in this provocative framing of architecture versus sprawl. And when we think about security, we see what we'll simply call a picture of diminishing returns. And overall, IT spend is pretty flattish, maybe a point or 2 of growth. But underneath that, there is a continuing surge of security spend. In fact, I was with a major bank CIO recently. He said his budget year on year was down 10 to 15%. And inside of that, he was doubling his security spend. But, and frighteningly, we see that the cost of security breaches continues to outpace the growth in security spend. The more we spend, the further we're falling behind. Something is wrong. And this happens to be a city right outside of Nairobi, Kenya, one I'm personally quite familiar with, Kibera, right in the Mathare Valley of Nairobi area. And what happened was it was just a tiny little town that grew very fast. And it just sort of organically exploded across this valley. And there was no infrastructure, no architecture. And as a result, it really has just emerged with an extraordinary amount of problems. It has crime, it has sewage problems, electricity, water. All of these things are just fundamentally broken in this environment. And this particular one is one my wife and I are deeply familiar with. A little bit over a decade, we helped to start some schools in this area, microfinance, health evangelism, churches, and really try to help build out the infrastructure. Today, we have over 13,000 kids that are participating in the schools that my wife and I helped to start here over a decade ago. Just profound, and it's given us this firsthand view of these fundamental problems if you haven't architected and built infrastructure into the environment. Today's security world has many of the same characteristics. because we see that the application environment continues to just grow. It's sprawling across environments. And it's increasingly being built that this particular microservice running on this particular cloud needs to interact with this particular service that's running on my private cloud. And of course, all of those environments need to be delivered on a broader and broader set of devices. And as we think about this picture, who's the last one invited to the party? I've already built the application, now secure it. Right? And fundamentally, it's broken. We can't go back and say, how do I go build this environment after the fact? The world of the past, when I had a fairly structured and simple client-server 3-tier application, I secured the server and the network for that particular application, and I was sort of done. Now, we look at this picture and the application has become a network. And you might remember the famous quote by John Gage from Sun when he said, the network is the computer. Well, now the application has become a network. And this complexity is the enemy of security. If you think about it, can you secure a house? Yeah, that's pretty easy. Can you secure a city? That's pretty hard. Today's environment is one where there's more security innovation going on than ever before. And we're seeing that from the big guys, but also this extraordinary set of startup companies with new ideas and new innovation. The problem is there's no way for those innovations to be fundamentally applied in a consistent way. There is no architecture for security. And if we look at our picture of our Kibera environments in Kenya, unfortunately, there's no way to make it work. We have these security policies that IT has clearly put in place. We have these security technologies that are coming forward at a very rapid pace, but I can't bridge the divide. I have no consistent way to apply security across those environments. Fundamentally, that's what the virtualization layer allows us to do for the first time ever. It allows us to align security policies and the technologies to execute it and ubiquitously apply it across the network. And we've thought about security with respect to virtualization, like how do I secure virtualization? The real question, and the provocative and powerful one, is how can I use virtualization to secure everything that I do? And we've innovated using virtual network this idea of microsegmentation, where I literally can create an overlay network that has the VMs, the applications, the users, all as part of this overlay network that is now ubiquitously enforced and enables universal control as that application spins up, scales out, spins down, migrates across the environment. A powerful approach, microsegmentation. And we're seeing microsegmentation being aggressively embraced. We have over 1,200 customers for NSX, and over half of them today are using it for exactly this use case. Customers in production scale taking advantage of this today. And it's not just the customers, but it's also the industry is embracing this as a platform to build and deliver security. It truly is a rising tide that rises all boats. Would you like security with that? A renaissance in security has begun. Seize the day. We can now begin to change the security discussion in a fundamental way for the first time ever. A powerful new tool with network virtualization. Of course, number 5, how do you enable the next generation development environment? Because the application is becoming the embodiment of how customers look at your business. We'll simply call that delivering cloud-native apps. And maybe you'll have a conversation sort of like this. I need some Jenkins and Mesos and maybe a Kubernetes environment, right? And that's the conversation the developer is having. But over here, the IT guy is saying, I can give you some VMs, right, for that environment. And how do I enable my next generation app lifecycle and empowering operations against this in a DevOps way, and yet do it with open standards and embrace many of these new technologies? VMware is doing this in 2 ways. The first is simply what we'll call vSphere integrated containers, where we're making these container environments first-class citizens on today's infrastructure that you've already deployed at scale. And whether that's Pivotal CF, Docker, Kubernetes, Mesos, CoreOS, all of those are enabled in a powerful, high-performant, way on the infrastructure that you've already deployed. Full compatibility with your existing tools, no building or rebuilding or re-architecture required, an enormous ecosystem that already supports it. Simply put, you can say yes to your developers right away, enabling this on-ramp to cloud native. But we also realize that this new world has a powerful set of capabilities that they're looking at that are lighter weight and don't require all of the capabilities that we've had in these highly resilient applications of the past. And against that, we're building a new offering called Photon Platform, a grounds-up cloud-native platform infrastructure environment. Photon machine, Photon controller that has a rich API set supporting all these key new technologies, distributed, scale out, lightweight, but yet secure, and connected to and enabling an environment that works with what you've already built and deployed, enabling speed, scale, security, movement. This is the next generation infrastructure for tomorrow, the Photon platform. And of course, we're working closely with our sister company called Pivotal. And in this world, this environment of PaaS, or platform as a service, Cloud Foundry has emerged as the industry view of how this next generation environment of development will occur. And Pivotal Cloud Foundry is the leading provider of this set of capabilities. So we're delighted to be working closely with Pivotal to enable Pivotal on top of today's vSphere environment and tomorrow's Photon environment, a powerful set of capabilities to transform how you, your company, and your developers can deliver first-class mobile user experiences to transform your business for tomorrow. So imperative 5, how do I enable an environment for these cloud-native applications? And how can I do that without creating a new silo, truly no longer a house divided between those two worlds? This also is a strategic shift for VMware. And if you think about VMware's heritage, we were this unique, this powerful, innovative company that delivered a piece of software called a hypervisor, this virtualization layer that transformed your data center. Literally, we could take 10 physical servers and magically make them become one. Just an extraordinary value proposition in hardware cost savings, operational flexibility. Wow, just incredible. But as we look to the future, we also need to adjust to this changing world. And you, our customers, are looking for this control plane for a multi-cloud world, continuing that private cloud journey, but embracing and delivering across the multiple public clouds and SaaS clouds as well. And VMware is uniquely positioned to enable your journey to this multi-cloud world. And that's the core of our strategy for what we're enabling and going to continue to do with and for you as we together go on this journey. And against that, we have an integrated architecture to accomplish that. The foundation is the software-defined data center. With that, compute, network, management, and storage. And that unified architecture allows you to take your today data center on a journey to tomorrow, from build your own to converged to hyper-converged infrastructure. It does it with common management environment that embraces all of the cloud environments that you might be using today or into the future. It also needs to provide that for today's apps, stateful, heavy, resilient application, as well as scale-out, lightweight, next-generation applications. All applications are invited here. And of course, securely manage and deliver that to any device, PCs, Macs, but also all of the mobile devices of the future. And as we've described, an integrated security architecture that is intrinsic into the platform itself, a powerful, singular view of how to deliver that, the VMware integrated architecture, one cloud, any app, any device. We also continue to work with our sister companies, a powerful partnership with EMC for many, many years now. But with the merger of Dell EMC, we have the largest IT company in the world standing behind us, accelerating and moving us even more aggressively forward into the marketplace. And Dell is deeply committed to accelerate VMware but also to enable the independence that you have enjoyed, knowing that we can work with all the vendors that you might be using. They're committed to this broad ecosystem of partners as they accelerate our growth for the future. Dell, becoming the partner that enables us for the future, but still keeping the integrity of our business model, ecosystem, our independent board and customer base for the future as well. A powerful accelerant, but an enabler that allows us to continue to be the best, most strategic partner for you, our customers. As we think about this environment, it is a trepidous world. This is a picture of the Akashi Keikyo Bridge in Japan. And Japan, as you know, has a set of islands. They've built some of the world's finest bridges. This particular one is the largest suspension bridge in the world with a span of over 2.5 miles, largest towers, 1,000 feet tall in the world, and built between these two parts of Kobe to another island in Japan. A stunning technical achievement. But like the world that you're in, the ground is moving underneath it. And as you're trying to navigate from the client-server past to the mobile cloud future, there are all these tectonic shifts that are going on around you. As they were building this bridge in Japan, there was a major earthquake, and literally the spans opened up another 2.5 feet from their original design. What did the engineers do? Just got back to work, changed some cabling, adjusted things, and finished the design of the bridge. They too needed to operate in an environment that literally the ground was moving under their feet. Just like today, where you and I have fundamental shifts going on in the IT infrastructure that we've known in the past, we must architect a bridge that goes from client server to mobile cloud, allowing our application and services to operate across both of those, and fully doing it in a partnership and in the manner that allows us together to navigate major tectonic shifts in the industry. We thank you for the partnership that we've had, and this is the role that we uniquely see for us going forward into the future. Next up, we have Chris Wolf, America's CTO. Thank you again for joining us today, and it's our pleasure to be a partner with you on this tectonic and incredible journey to IT future. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Pat. I'm here now to talk about really just a little bit further in terms of what Pat was elaborating on, covering our strategy, and just to give you some practical customer examples of what some folks are seeing out in the field. Now, just for the sake of introduction, I'm Chris Wolf. I'm the Americas CTO. I spend over half of my time meeting with various IT leaders across all of our customer segments and understanding what they really need out of our technology, and then making sure that our engineering teams are doing the right things to make sure that all of your needs are being met when you need them. Now, just to give you a couple of examples to kick some things off here, Nike's a great example of a traditional manufacturing company that's really transitioning their business now, building it around software. Nike has a massive VMware OpenStack deployment that they had running in a matter of weeks, and now they're very quickly delivering VMs in a matter of minutes to software developers. So this is one example. You look at other organizations like GE. GE is focusing on planes, trains, very traditional manufacturer, but they see themselves as a software company first. So they're bringing a lot of agility into software because it allows them to innovate faster, it allows them to take more risks as an engineering company, to do simulations and modeling at a greater pace, and that's what's allowing them to maintain a competitive advantage. You look at other organizations like General Motors. This is one of I would say one of the more exciting areas of IT innovation today. And one way to think about innovation in a car is think about phones. Go back and look at your iPhone as an example. Prior to the iPhone, what did you have? I mean, even on a smartphone, you might have done email, you might have done just phone calls, right? But really very little other than that. And when the iPhone came along, what did the iPhone give you? It gave you email and it let you do phone calls. And some would argue not even very well. But the real power of the iPhone wasn't what Apple could see, but it was about unlocking a platform that would allow any third party to write an app that can provide a different experience on the phone. So if we think about cars, the same thing is happening here, where car manufacturers are saying, you know what, this isn't just a car, it's an application platform. Now anyone can come along and write an application that can change the driver or passenger's experience in an automobile. So this is another area where we're heading, and to me that's pretty exciting. It also creates new opportunities in terms of managing applications on those vehicles, as well as making sure that those applications are secure. Obviously a car is a pretty deadly personal device, or it certainly can be, so we want to make sure that there's no rogue application or experience that's going to impact anything. The bottom line here is that we see a tremendous amount of innovation. VMware has been a big part of this innovation for some time, starting with server virtualization in 2000. This is when I was just talking with some folks earlier today. The first virtualization presentation I had done personally was in 2001, and 8 people showed up for it. So we've certainly come a long way since then. You look at the software-defined data center in 2011, and what we've been driving towards this year now is the software-defined business. And really, we're about connecting business users to applications and content, making that easy, meeting those users on their terms, making sure that they're able to access those applications from the device of choice, as well as empowering our engineers and our software developers to be able to do things with a far greater efficiency than they've ever been able to do in the past. So really, when we start thinking about just organizations in general, we all need to think and act like a software company. It's about leveraging technology to be closer to your customers. Another example, I was attending a New Year's party in my neighborhood. My neighbor is the chief financial officer of a New Jersey area hospital chain. And in his case, he didn't want to just talk to me about New Year's festivities, but he's like, hey, I got this problem here. There's this company called CVS that's now offering healthcare services. So we're seeing a financial impact on our hospitals because we get less walk-in traffic because a pharmacy is now becoming a healthcare company. So his thoughts were around how do they now leverage technology to be able to do things differently, to have a closer experience and have more intimacy with folks that want to go to either their hospital or some of their other branch locations.